So HR qualifications. We are going to talk about HR qualifications. Now, recently, I've noticed an interesting phenomenon. More and more people seem to turn away from institutions that for a long time were considered as the go-to places for HR qualification. What's more, many companies used to require one or more qualifications from these institutions for their HR roles, and some of them still do today. Now, in one of her LinkedIn posts, Claire Cathcart mentions the same thing. She has spoken to countless people who stated the following reasons for their discontent with, let's call them, legacy qualification institutions. Not worth paying the fees. Out of touch with the real world. Lacking a community feel. Too theoretical. Now, at the same time, there are countless articles and people in the field who say that it would be great for the HR profession to have more people join who come from outside HR, people with different experiences, perspectives, and skills. There are even people who say that this is mandatory for the field of HR to evolve. So where does that leave us with regards to HR qualification? Are they still relevant or not anymore? And if not, what would be a good alternative? And that brings me to our final statement for today. HR qualifications are a thing of the past. It's real life experience and the hunger to grow that matter most. All right, now I will start with you again now, Mariana, for this third one. Are HR qualifications a thing of the past? Yes or no, or anything in between?
I would say no, because I just say no, and I let Sandra answer first, and
Sandra, what do you say? Yes or no?
Okay, I think no, for all the reasons that Mariana explained in the beginning of what HR actually is. You need to know your labor law. You need to know your psychology. Absolutely.
Okay, nice. Well, I was not necessarily expecting this, so I'm very curious to hear more about it. Mariana, I'm going back to you.
Yeah, well, I have a level 7. I'm a member of CIPD, which is the British qualification for HR professionals. I don't feel it's out of touch. I may be in a minority, but I feel they got a lot of very good content. The issue that I face is in my interim work is that there are people who don't know what they don't know. And that creates issues. And I feel that if you have a HR qualification, at least you know what you should know. And I feel that the people who just have a whole lot of enthusiasm, they can create situations that are quite complex in the long run when you don't know that you are stepping on an area and you make decisions that can be illegal or otherwise create difficulties in the workplace.
Makes a lot of sense. Yes. Okay, Sandra, please let me hear from you as well.
Yeah, that was brilliant, Mariana. They don't know what they don't know, and that's the point. Actually, we don't have these kinds of certifications in Sweden. So I had to compare it with the education system we have for human resources here. When you apply to a human resources education in Sweden, it is recommended that you have worked with something before you go and study, because then you will be able to actually pick up on the different things that you learn during the education. I also think that we do need people with experience from outside of HR, but I would say that the most important factor when working with HR is actually that you have worked as a manager before, that you know what it is like to work as a manager, because if you're going to coach managers in being good managers, you have to have the skills as a manager. And so I would say, yes, you need some kind of certification, you need some kind of education, but you also need the experience from being a manager, but if you're going to do a good HR job.
Yeah, that's also a good point. It keeps getting more interesting, actually, all the things that I'm learning from both of you. But no, you make such valid points. I was quite, like I said, I was quite interested by this phenomenon that I noticed, and it was really people having a strong opinion on quite a few. I called them on purpose legacy institutions, because I didn't want to use any names. But these are some really valid points as well, about the fact that, of course, you need to know the legal side of things, because otherwise actually you can create quite some severe implications. And I think it's also a great point about needing some experience as a manager before. Now, something else I was curious to hear your thoughts about is, There's also some talk from time to time about HR managers rotating in different departments of the company to actually, learn more about the business and learn more about what people are doing in these different departments. How do you look at that as an idea? Maybe even mandatory rotations for HR managers. I don't know. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that as well. Mariana, I'm going to go back to you first.
I love the idea in the sense that you can really be a good business partner. You really need to understand the business. So therefore it is, whether it is rotation, but really having interest in the business and understanding who the clients are and understanding the ins and outs of the business is super important, especially if you are more senior in HR. Of course, for junior persons, that is might be a bit of a tall order, but I really like the idea that HR has to know the business well, and whether it is working on a shop floor or having some kind of rotation, I'm all for that.
Thank you. Sandra, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. You have to know the business, but you do not have to actually have the experience from working in the different departments, at least not coming to the company. But I mean, here at the hotel, we have a kitchen. We have housekeeping, we have front office, we have rooms. We have so many different departments that I can't be an expert in every department. But for me, it's so important to know my managers and to always stay curious and ask questions to try to understand their reality and realizing that they are the experts in their departments. And actually coming into the company, not knowing that much about the departments is quite good, because then I have to ask these questions. I don't come in and just expect that I know how you work in a kitchen, because I don't. If I worked somewhere else where I actually had experience from working from a kitchen, I would bring my backpack and I would have my picture of how it is to work in a kitchen. So for me, it's been very beneficial to actually having to ask those questions, trying to understand what is the actual work, what is the problems, the challenges, and so on.
Yeah. I do totally agree with what you're saying, and I like it as well. I think there's one thing though, that there probably also are people that are not necessarily naturally that curious and that keen on asking questions, and in that case that could of course be. But I mean, yeah, I think one last thing that I wanted to ask you both about this is, have you actually already come across companies looking for people to work in their HR teams not requiring any certification? Is that something that you've seen or have come across, or maybe not at all? Okay, so Sandra, let's start with you.
Absolutely. I have actually my best performing colleague here. She is my assistant HR manager. She does not have an education in HR, but she has worked as a manager at almost every department in the hotel, and she's been here for 20 plus years. And her experience as a manager was the foundation that she then could build upon. And now she knows our collective agreements, the labor laws, the payroll. She has just put everything on top on her manager experiences.
Nice. Beautiful story. Mariana.
It's the same in Sweden. We don't really have an HR qualification here. So it's just part of education and part of university or higher education studies. A lot of companies don't expect HR qualifications. Quite a few don't even expect HR studies, which that's another point. It just sort of, that's when people don't really know, like especially small companies, when they don't necessarily know what HR is, they don't know what to expect from HR. So there, it's not nearly always required. And it depends on the size of the company as well. If you go to a larger company where you have a team of HR people, I feel that it's easier to learn on the job. You have people who can guide you and mentor you on your journey. But if you were to join, like I've been working in startups and scale-ups, I've quite often been the only HR. You can't go and learn on the job. You really need to know what you're doing when you jump in. I would say that if you are getting a first HR person to your company, you should get somebody with experience and qualification or some education, and then it's easier to join a career changer or as a first job to a slightly larger company where you have a team who can help you. That's, I think, would be my answer to that.
Yeah, I like this, because basically what is very cool to see is that you're both definitely seeing the value of certification or education, or whatever we want to call it. You do see the value, and you do definitely also see it as something that's important. But at the same time, you're also open-minded enough to also see that people who don't necessarily have that can, of course, still come in with different experiences and work in the field of HR. So I kind of like that. Yeah, thank you so much. All right, that was the third and final debate that we have. Now we have one element that we have introduced in this third season of the HR Debatable podcast, which is called the HR Dilemma. Now, we are recording this on a Friday. So the dilemma that I chose for today has everything to do with the concept of casual Friday. Of course, this is not even sure in how many companies this is actually still applicable today, because so many people are working from home, and other people, they are in a workplace physically. So anyhow, but for those companies who do still have that concept, casual Friday, where people can come into the office dressed like I am, for instance, today, I guess. So the dilemma is as follows. It is a very brief one. Now, the question here is, how casual can casual Friday be? Is it acceptable for people working in the company to come in on a Friday in whatever they want, basically their most informal outfit? Is that acceptable, even if it means that maybe clients or business partners are also in the office on that day, and it might give them a little bit less of a professional impression of the company? That's our HR dilemma on this Friday. Yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Mariana, let me start with you.
I've been working a lot in IT tech, startups, scale-ups, gaming. There is no such thing as casual Friday. It's casual every day. So it's pretty much, I don't have a whole load of experience of environments where there would be a dress code of some sort. I think with you, Sandra, there's sort of definitely in your line of work, but it's I don't have a very good answer to that. I'm always just casual. I'm wearing jeans today as well, and I'm always on jeans at work or something.
I like what you said. No, actually, in the spaces that I was working in, it was casual every day. I like that. But I do think it may indeed be different in your industry, Sandra, but I'm not sure. So yeah, let's hear from you.
Yes, absolutely. The hotel industry is completely different. Of course, there are brands who have more casual outfits, but I think it depends on who's your clients, what do they accept, and depending on the business, some businesses are niched into working with clients who share their values and work in the same way as them. So then, very casual Friday may not be an issue. If I'm looking at the recruitment industry where I was previously, where you usually don't have uniforms, we saw it as a strength that we all were casual in a way that we were comfortable with every day. Because we were 10 people as recruiters in that company, and we know that our clients were working with each and every individual of us because they felt that we connected. And when you look at values and how you dress and how you speak and so on, when you're a client, you usually want to work with someone that you feel has the same values as you. So casual for me could be one thing, and casual for a colleague could be another thing. So I would say yes, you can come to office with your most casual outfit if that is the culture that you are agreed on.
Yeah. Awesome. No, thank you so much, both of you, for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it. But yeah, big thanks from me. Before we sign off, where can people find you if they want to connect with you? And in Mariana's case, if they maybe want to get a copy of your book somewhere next year. So Sandra, where can people connect with you if they want to?
You can find me on LinkedIn, so just add me.
Perfect. Thank you. And Mariana?
Same. I'm quite active on LinkedIn as well, so find me there.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. I really hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Once again, please give us a review wherever you are listening, and I hope to see you soon for a new episode. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye-bye.